Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Welcome back to the show. Coaching for Relevance is what he does best. That's right.
Woohoo.
Randy Swaim joining us, and he's excited to be here. How are you?
I'm great. I always love being here, and I definitely appreciate just our time together with you and I, and anybody else too. But I appreciate you for. I know we've met on various shows for a long time, so it's always a pleasure to be here and connect with you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, sweetheart. Well, for those that don't know a little about your background, fill us in. And I know we're going to get on to the leadership topic and so on and so forth and so much more because you bring always so much to the table.
Good deal. Well, I'll bring one thing that I've mentioned before, but I'm going to take it to a little bit of a deeper understanding and a deeper meaning for people today. But you wanted to share a little bit about my background. As you know, a lot of my background is in aviation. I was very honored to have lived my journey as an F4 aviator in the Air Force, and so I got a chance to fly um, um, in the Air Force, and actually I also picked up and flew Learjets on a strategic air defense training contractor. So I got to fly jets and be part of jets for a long time. I actually retired from the military, but I've got that was around 1993. But I've been involved in aviation ever since in training and developing other people. So it's one area where I bring really this whole aspect of coaching, understanding, but also neuroscience. And I'm going to bring a touch of the neuroscience in today because as I think you know, I've been certified as a master level neuroplastician in with the Institute for Organizational Neuroscience over in Germany. And so I'm going to be bringing all of that aspect and really, and when I'm developing and certifying and training jet pilots, guess what? That's one area where I bring a lot of this but I also can bring it to leaders and people on this show and and all that kind of stuff. So and as you know, just uh, the uh, the Hollywood documentary movie, I've been told that it looked like it was going to be ready to go around the end of this week, and so it looks like it's getting real close to that moving forward and then getting out there for people. So just a golly gee whiz.
Hello, hello.
Yeah, can
There
you
you
hear
go.
me?
Perfect. There you go. You just cut out at the end. All right. Thank you so much. And
Okay.
what are we, focusing on for today? Where did you want to begin?
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll begin here, and some of the people that have perhaps watched the show before have uh, probably heard me say this one little aspect. But what I'm going to do today is kind of take it to sort of a deeper level aspect of it. And when you're talking about leadership and things of that nature, a lot of people kind of don't understand it clearly and all that kind of stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
when you're talking about leading for people, it is not what you get out of it, it's what you it's the difference you're making. But it when you take that and you take it to one more official aspect, that true leadership is not necessarily about you dictating to people and pointing fingers and telling them what to do and all that kind of stuff. That true leadership aspect is really about what you are modeling for your team and how are you really showing that. You've heard me say this before, maybe a couple of people that have watched the show routinely or whatever, kind of thing may remember me saying this. But the finest leader with whom I've ever served was at the time Lieutenant Colonel Richard B. Myers in the Air Force. He was our squadron commander with the 335th Attack Fighter Squadron, but he
Mm-hmm.
also was, you may remember the name because he was also selected in 2001, I think it was, to be the first Air Force chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and he was a general at that point. And But I tell people, and in fact, it's even included in my autobiography, that he is the finest leader with which I've ever served and learned from. But there's not one thing that I ever gained from anything he said or told me. Where I learned from this, and what was really valuable, is what I observed and how he interacted with his people, how he did what he needed to do, even if there were some maybe challenging situations that came up or whatever. And I'll just say it for he's got my hat off and my applause and my appreciation for
Mm-hmm.
who he was those years and stuff. Because, like I said, he's the finest leader with which I've ever served and where I learned the most. But not one thing because of anything he dictated or told or, tried to, whatever. It was in terms of what I observed and how he did what he did and all that. And that's a good picture of exactly what I'm talking about. When you're talking about being a true leader, it's not about you just dictating and controlling people and all that kind of stuff. It's about, what are you truly modeling in your people?
Yeah.
And what are you modeling for your folks that make them want to connect? And I think people may remember me saying something on this in a previous show on neuroscience. But you remember with neuroscience, when you understand your brain releases neurotransmitters based on what you're experiencing. And the different transmitters make one thing. If you're going into your team and your whole mindset is all on you,
Mm-hmm.
you think that your whole thing is what I'm going to get out of this and what people are going to do, that kind of thing and everything. If that's your only focus, what you don't realize is you're not you're not getting your people to want to be on your team. You're not letting your people want to really make this work. What you're, in one sense, what you're doing when you do that is you're engendering the neuroplasticity, or yeah, the neuroscience chemical of norepinephrine. And what norepinephrine does inside of you, it
Yeah.
creates either the fight where you want to
Uh-huh.
resist or just shut everything aside and walk away, kind of thing. That's that part of it. But if all you're focused on is pointing fingers and dictating and controlling and all that, you're not modeling true leadership and you're not generating within your people what is really good to go. And the bottom line is, if you connect with your people, and I'm going to mention a couple of aspects where this is so critical, but when you're connecting with your people, but you don't just go with this shut up and, do what I tell you. And you know what, here, this is about me and all that. You never want to go there. But the bottom line is that if you connect with people in a way that makes them feel like there's a one relationship with you and they want to be with you because of how you're connecting with them in reality, guess what? In here, you can generate the neurotransmitter of oxytocin. And what oxytocin does, it's the chemical within your mind and your body that makes you feel a level of synergy and oneness and real team. And you know what? What a lot of people kind of forget is that that's a key aspect of this whole thing. If your whole focus in your management style, if your whole focus is the people are just supposed to obey me because I'm their boss and that's the only thing you're thinking about, guess what? You're not getting to the place where you truly want to get. And you're not making the synergy happen, the oneness. And here's the thing, when your people want within themselves, want to be a part of you and want to make this work right and want success to come out of this, guess what? You're doing a lot better when that's what they're experiencing. And it's just something to think about, that you don't get that by just telling them what to do. If you see a manager out there sometimes that goes and he tries to, like, if I was your manager or something, Jill, if I kind of came in and just, told the joke to try to get you laugh and stuff, but guess what? In your sense, you're realizing it. I'm trying to take your brain off of it so you'll just commit to what I'm telling you. That does happen sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's happening, you're not getting the job done as your leader. And so uh, I throw people out there that when you're talking about your leadership, it's not really about just dictating and controlling and all that. It's about building the relationship and connecting with your people in such a way that they automatically want to be a part of what you're doing, and they want to do that. And this is even more critical if you think about it. This is even more critical in situations where there's ethical issues rather than rote, you know, uh, legal or academic issues. Sometimes what you're trying to accomplish out of this may be an ethical situation rather than a, real judicial situation or whatever. And ethical, when you think about ethics, it's a little bit different. There are some times when, guess what? You can make an ethical call and violate a law. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of other times where you cannot do that. And so having some aspects about that, but you know what? When you're in a rapidly changing environment, which is aligned with my organizational maneuverability concept, having clarity on that is so key. And that clarity truly comes when the team is synergistically involved, and you're not just pointing fingers and threatening people or just telling them what to do or whatever, kind of thing, just sort of taking control. I would say this, that if you feel like, now there are a lot of people out there that will probably say there are some occasions where you have to do that.
Wow.
And you know what? There might be, but what I would throw out to people is this: if you have to do that on most of those situations that arise, guess what? You haven't developed your team well enough so that there's true synergy. If you develop the team in true synergy as you're walking through the process together, and I've given a couple of examples on this. In fact, I'll mention just one that I've shared, I think, several months ago, kind of thing on the show here. But when you're talking about that, it's not just about you taking credit. It's not just about you patting yourself on the back and dictating. It's about truly building the synergy in your team where the right solution and the right answer happens in an amazing way. And that's just something to think about. And uh, I shared this, I think, this is probably a bunch of months ago, but I shared this when I was a site manager at Griffiths Air Force Base in our Learjet group. There was one day, and of course I'm the site manager for it. We were having a time in our sort of operational area where everybody on the team was in there doing things, but they were having a conversation, and I could tell that they were having a conversation about some struggles that were going on, not from me, but just from stuff, and everything. But as a manager, I'm standing there and I hear where they're going, and because of my awareness of this and the leadership, I said, this is a good discussion for them to explore.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let them explore it. And I just stood there. And what was amazing is sort of at the end of the discussion, and it took probably 5 or 6 minutes, kind of thing. At the end of the discussion, a guy that was a friend of mine, because he was a fellow Air Force guy, we flew, in the same airplane and all that kind of stuff in the fighter communities and everything. But he had a tablet and a pen, and he went, okay, and he walked over and sat down on a chair at a desk, and he's starting to write notes. But what he realized is the boss is standing here. And
Mm.
halfway down in the chair, he froze, he stopped, and he just looked up at me, and he didn't ask anything, but I knew what he was doing. And you know what I did? All I did is I looked at him, I winked at him, and I nodded my head. And he smiled and he sat down, and they just jotted some of the notes that they had come to and stuff on how they were going to do it better and things like that, kind of thing. But it's just something to think about, that when you're talking about true leadership, it's not just about you dictating and controlling and all of that kind of stuff. If your entire focus is on you and patting yourself on the back as I'm in control, and by gosh, they're not going to win unless I just tell them what to do and all that kind of stuff, you're really truly not getting the job done. And you know what? Like I said, if ethical factors come on scene that are not just, you know, kind of logical, where they may be a little bit more vague a little bit. And you know what? Because of your people's background, they may have some insights on some aspects of it that nobody else did. And if you communicate it, and the communication makes a team go, really come together, that can do a lot. But the bottom line is, probably one of the big questions that I'll ask people that are listening is, in your team, how do you need to do that differently, perhaps? How do you need to do that in such a way that radical results can happen and your people are even better and stronger and all that? And not just focused on applauding yourself. I will tell you, when you talk about the neurotransmitters in neuroscience, one of the things that drives a lot of people kind of in various societies and stuff is what I refer to as the dopamine fix. And you remember, dopamine is the chemical that your brain releases when it's all
Mm-hmm.
about you. And I call it, I refer to it as the dopamine fix, because if that, as the manager or as the leader, if that is your focus, guess what? You're not being a leader. And like I said, leaders are not just telling them what to do all the time. Now, are there some times where maybe that's necessary? Maybe. But you know what? If you have to do that 1 out of 10 times, what are you going to do before and after?
Yeah.
How are you going to make people grow and gain their insight for a future event if something happens, kind of thing, where you don't have to just step in and point fingers and things. And so it's this aspect of growing your team. But again, when you look at the concept of true leadership, it's not just about you. It's not just about you getting what you want. It's not just about you, making them do what you want in your goals and everything. And it's not just focusing on you
Yeah.
and telling them what to do. True leadership is when you're modeling for the team in such a way that your team wants to be a part of what you're doing. They want to be a part of this team. I want to be involved in this. You know what? Yeah, I want this. Yeah, kind of thing. And so for people that are listening, uh, I would just simply throw out that is a key aspect of true success in almost any area of today's society. It's not about you controlling, it's not about you dictating, it's not about you telling people to make sure they're thinking exactly like you do. You know what? Very, very often it's good situations when they're not thinking exactly the same as you, but going in the right direction. And these are just things that, uh, when you're talking about leading your people, it's not about telling them what to do. It's not about controlling them. It's not about just dictating to them. What it is, it's about modeling true behavior and success in such a way that they experience it differently and
Yeah.
go into that. And I will tell you this, that at the facility that I train and certify in over at DFW Airport here and stuff, um, it's sort of amazing how many, with so many people across the building, it's amazing how when we, when we pass, it's like, hey, kind of thing. We just have a real connection there momentarily of hello, and there's a sense where people really appreciate you and they experience your appreciation of them and everything, and that is huge. And I'll also just tell one other thing, and that
Mm-hmm.
is that my boss over there, um, and I will tell you, I won't give her name because I haven't asked her if I can use it or whatever, but just in case, I appreciate working for and all that kind of stuff. But I will say this: that there's uh, one of the things that she and I have said a number of times along the way. As I looked at her and I said, "You know what? Great to be a team with you." And
Yeah.
she looks at me and she goes, "Likewise, Randy. Likewise." And to actually experience that and to build that kind of an experience in your people, not just on you, but where they're experiencing it on each other as well. You know what? The way you get that is not by just telling them what to do. The way you truly lead that is by modeling it in such a way that people have a sense of the experience of it and makes them want that to be what the center of what's going on. So it's really interesting on this when you think about this aspect of true leadership. It's not just about dictating and controlling. It's really, what are you modeling truly? Because if all you're doing is talking to people and telling people, you're modeling something that you don't want to be the center of your team.
Yeah.
If your entire focus is just on yourself, that's a problem. But the true leadership is critically important with your teams, because when they're truly working together and they truly experience that aspect of real synergy and oneness and all of that, guess what? Sometimes some radical results can happen that you would have never expected. And you know what? Your bosses are going to applaud you because you were effectively the leader of the team. But you know what? Is how you get there is a little bit different than a lot of people think. And so it's just something to think about when you're talking about the true aspect of leadership.
Yeah.
And as I mentioned, it's actually very much more aligned, even in situations that may involve certain unethical things, where sometimes where you may have to kind of deviate from something, or have clarity on kind of exactly what you're going to do and how and why, and all of that. And uh, so it's just something to think about with that. It's sort of a deeper thought, but when you think about this aspect of leading teams, it's not just you telling them, it's what are you modeling? Because I'll tell you what, if you're modeling it in the right way and such that they want to be a part of that within themselves, that's where radical results can
Yeah.
happen. And that is true leadership. So I just leave that with people as a thought for today, and giving some sort of a picture of that.
Thank you for always providing a beautiful picture of this. And if people do want to reach out to chat with you, to talk to you more about your programs, or just to chat, right? Because you're so modest.
Yeah, yeah, yep.
But you do this is for a living. But you're so kind. How would we
Thank
find
you.
you? Then you also got to tell us about the book and the movie update before we go.
Okay, and what you can do is you can go to my website of coachingforrelevance.com, and excuse me, and on the homepage, uh, you can see it has pictures of aviation stuff there and all that. But if you scroll down to the very bottom of the homepage, it has my email on it, and it has my cell phone number. So if somebody wants to call, by the way, as everybody knows, you get a lot of spam calls in today's world. So if you call and I don't recognize the number or anything, I'll let it go to voicemail. So if you just go to voicemail and say, "Hey, you heard this here, like to chat," kind of thing, then I can call you back. But you can send an email or give a quick call. As you said correctly, You won't get sales pitches from me. Now, I will say this, that if you come up with the need,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we'll come up with something, but I don't go there. I just have a conversation with people. And so that'll be good. And then just really quick, as you asked, the autobiography is on Amazon. And I will say this, the people that have read it have made some amazing comments about it, just about my autobiography, my story of life, professional, personal, and all of that. And the story is uh, bring freedom to potential. And the movie has got the same title to it, which is good because that's the story of my life. But the Hollywood movie documentary, like I mentioned, I've been told it sounds like they truly think that it's going to be ready to go about the end of this week, which probably is tomorrow. Um, and then I know we're going to be looking at uh, uh, the marketing aspect of it, of where they're going to be posting it, which is on a lot of places out there. It's my understanding that they're going to be posting it on HBO and Netflix and a lot of those places out there. Uh, and then one of the things is, you may know this, Jill, but probably toward the end of August,
Yeah.
um, I'm going to be flying up to New York City to go into a professional television studio, and uh, I'm going to be interviewed about my movie and all that kind of stuff. And so I'm humbled with that, but that's where all this is going. I just and I'll tell you, it's not about me. It's not meant to call attention to me. It's meant to provide some benefits to people that they can kind of perhaps apply in their life journey and get really
Perfect.
some amazing results. So it's just I'll just share this, as you probably have heard me say before. 20 years after I'm dead and gone and I take my
Mm-hmm.
last breath, it doesn't matter to me if people don't remember my name, but what I hope is that they remember there was this guy about 20 years ago or whatever that brought out this insight. And you know what? I brought it into my life and it's made a huge difference. And
Beautiful.
that's the legacy that I want to leave behind. Not my life, not calling attention to myself, but just bringing the value, bringing the freedom. And you know what? Even after I take my last breath, if people watch the movie and make an application, oh yeah, cool.
Thank you so much, Randy. Can't wait to see you. I'm off next week. I'm not sure if you'll be with Steve or not. I'm going to Florida with my boys, but hopefully I'll catch you then in 2 weeks from now. I hope, okay? If
Well,
not,
I'll
see
tell
you
you
in
what,
person.
we'll look for it. And I'll tell you what, I hope you have an incredible safe trip with your family, kids there and
Thank
stuff. And
you. It should
and
be
I hope you have
fun.
an incredible time. And just know my mind will be on you a little bit, uh, hoping you're having a wonderful time through the week. And
Thank you. I
I'll look
appreciate
forward to
that.
seeing that. And I'll be looking forward to seeing you here back in about 2 weeks.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Sounds good. Have a fantastic day and always a pleasure having you, darling. Thank you.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.